Hey, what's up, everybody? I hope all is well with you. If you can hear me as you're coming in right now, just simply say what's up. Say yes, I can hear you. And as I always ask you to do, if you would make sure that you share this, tag an entrepreneur, get one in. I am doing that now on my personal page. So if you would tag someone, tell someone to get in here. This is going to be a great conversation that I believe that every entrepreneur, every person who has ever been in any type of business setting, work setting, any type of conversation, major conversation at all, this is going to be an important conversation topic that we must deal with now. And I believe there's going to be more than part ones, part twos of this, because this conversation can get pretty intense. So look, as you're coming in right now, if you would, if you could hear me, if my audio is fine before we dig into this, please comment and let me know that you can hear me. Let me know that everything is good on the audio end, that you can hear me and everything as well before we get into this, because there's so much that I want to talk about in this that I believe is going to be very helpful to you as an entrepreneur, as an individual, as a person in general. As I always say, if this is your first time coming across Selling the King's Table page, I want to welcome you and thank you so much for joining us. This whole community is really about entrepreneurs and Christian entrepreneurs and business-minded people just like yourself. Our whole assignment, my goal here, is to help entrepreneurs just like yourself really grow your sales. It's one thing to grow your business, and we can talk about how you can grow your business, but the one way that you really can grow your business is really through sales. That's the only way that it works. You know, without sales, your business does not grow. You know, we often talk about how do you grow your business, but without sales, if people are not buying your product or services and buying it consistently, then there's no way that your product or your company can grow. So my assignment here is to help entrepreneurs just like yourself take you from where you are, whether you're doing $1,000 in sales, whether you're doing $10,000 in sales, or whether you're just doing $10 in sales. How are we able to get you from where you are to where you want to be? So that's my assignment. I have close to over 15 years worth of sales experience. There's some things that I've just learned over the years, but with the help of God, what I've done is I've been able to put together some systems, some processes, some tools that will actually work, that has actually been proven to work, that will help any entrepreneur, regardless of the product or service that you're selling, grow your sales. That's what it's really about. Again, your business can't grow if your sales don't grow. If people are not buying your product or services on a continuous basis consistently, there's no way that a business grows. So my assignment is to give you tools, processes, and tips on how you as an entrepreneur can grow your business and take it from where you see in your head, get it from where it is to where you see it in your head and what God has given you. A few things as we're getting into this. Again, if you can let me know my audio is good, you can hear me before we dig into this. Also, as you're coming in, as I always do, I ask that you simply go ahead and comment your name, your company's name, business name in the comment section. Also, if you would add into that, let us know what city and state that you're in. There's somebody that's probably watching this that may want to inquire about your business, maybe in your city, maybe in your state, and want to learn more about your product or service. So take this opportunity right now to go ahead and comment and tag your business name along with the city and state that you are in. I'm so excited right now because we're also not only streaming through Facebook, but we're also simultaneously streaming to our own YouTube channel, which we have just launched and kicked off. So when you finish this, go over to the YouTube channel, make sure that you subscribe. And as you're coming in right now, this is your first time coming across this platform, there's going to be a little button that's going to say follow in the comment section or somewhere around there. Make sure that you click that button that says follow. We want you to connect with this community of entrepreneurs. Even if you haven't launched that business yet, go ahead and hit the follow button. The next step is going to tell you to make sure that you get all live notifications. I want to tell you, you want to do that. Why? because here at Selling the King's Table, you never know what's going to happen. On one live, we may just give away some money. We may give away some product or service. You never know. So you want to make sure that you are always connected to anytime that we go live here at Selling the King's Table. Again, our assignment here is very simple. It is to make sure that you as an entrepreneur can take your business from where it is to where you see it in your head. There's one thing to have this God-given ability, this God-given passion about your business, and you praying and you see where it is in your head and you're trying to get there. And it's like, it's one thing to jump off the cliff and launch that business, but what do you do after you launch that business? It's one thing to get the products and services going, but after all of that, what happens, and it's really about implementing sales processes and tools that can help you navigate that customer journey as people are approaching you, as people are inquiring about your business or your product or your services that you're offering. You need to have systems and processes in place. If you're an entrepreneur and you say, look, I don't have that, that I haven't had consistent sales. People are not buying from me consistently. I don't know what's going on. I feel like my product is great, but I don't know why people are not buying. I want to encourage you right now to, when you finish this, there is an 8-module online course that we've created that can help entrepreneurs and business-minded people just like you. This is an 8-module online course that can be knocked out literally in less than 8 days. So you can go over at any time to Selling the King's Table and enroll, register. You can work at your own pace. There's no cutoff deadline. There's no enrollment setup time or anything like that. It's an 8-module course that can be knocked out in less than 8 days. And it's $79. There's packed tools, tips, processes that I just unloaded in this module, this online course, that I believe that it would be a strong benefit to you as an entrepreneur. So let's get into this conversation. I'm excited about it. This conversation is definitely something that's important. That needs to be had. It's something that we need to talk about. It's really an ongoing conversation, and it's really about negotiation. And I want to tell you, first of all, as we get into this, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, regardless how long you've been in business or not, you're going to enter at some point into a negotiation. It's going to happen. Now, here's the thing. Let's take a few steps back here and understand this. One, we're oftentimes as individuals in negotiations all the time, and we just don't really know it. Let that take a second and let that sink in. We're oftentimes as entrepreneurs, we're in negotiations oftentimes, and we don't even know that we're in them. Let's talk about relationships for a moment. In a relationship, when a guy approaches you, a girl approaches, however that may transpire, there's a negotiation that's taking place. They're selling you on why you should be with them, why it is a good decision for you to go on a date with them. And in your mind, you're like, okay, this is good. You're cute. You're not cute. Whatever the conversation is going on in your mind, that's taking place. But you also enter into a negotiation. There's a negotiation that's taking place all the time. Okay, let's take it a step further outside a relationship. If you work anywhere, any job, it doesn't matter if you're working at a job that you hate, a job that you're overworked, you're underpaid, you hate your boss, you hate the employees there, regardless of the scenario. If you work at a job, there's a great chance that you entered into a negotiation to get that job. And think about it. You had to really sell yourself. You had to really sit down with some people who you've never met before. You've had to sit down with, you've never met them before. They called you on a number that's not saved in your phone. And it was like, hey, we saw your resume. We want you to come and do this interview, and you needed the job. You wanted the job. And now you're in there and you're in a negotiation. You're selling yourself on why they should choose you over the next candidate or over the candidates that they've already been interviewing. You're in a negotiation, like you're in one. You're deep in a negotiation and you don't know it. So regardless of if you're an entrepreneur, if you've launched that business or not, this word that is scary for a lot of people, this word called negotiation, is something that we must embrace. We have to get, we have to understand it. Now, I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you right now a tip that I'm going. If you take the class, if you watch anything that I do, there's one word that I always key in on, and that's value. Value. If you would please, in the comment section, if you're hearing me clearly, just type that word value. This word is going to be so important for your future. This word is going to be so important for the negotiation process that I'm going to deal with. But I want you to go ahead and comment right now the word value, VAULE, value. This is something I always deal with. It's so critical for every entrepreneur to get. And as it relates to negotiations, this is really going to help it make sense to you. Now, I know negotiations are uncomfortable for a lot of people. Quite frankly, I love negotiations. I live for a negotiation, especially a good, strong negotiation. A lot of times when we talk about negotiations, oftentimes what we do is we look at negotiation as a negative thing. You know, we oftentimes view negotiations as a fight, right? Come on, if you've heard I mean, if you had to think in your mind when you first hear the word negotiation, you oftentimes think of like a tug of war situation. Like there's a fight and who's going to win the fight, right? You know, are you going to win? And oftentimes the mindset about negotiation is that someone has to lose. I feel like I'm preaching. Like I know this is good to me because I wish I had someone to break this down for me. So, and we're going to build through this here shortly. But oftentimes what happens is we look at negotiation like it's a fight, like it's a tug of war, and we oftentimes view negotiation as someone has to lose. And nobody wants to lose, right? You're not going to enter into a negotiation and say, oh, well, today I'm choosing to lose. I want to be a loser. I don't want to win in this. I want to get beat up. I want to get manhandled. And that's how this is going to go. And oftentimes when we view negotiation, it's always connected, we think in our mind, to like car deals, like someone buying a car and negotiations and stuff like that. But it's quite frankly, it's bigger than that. What's going to make negotiation easy for you is that you understand the word value. Now, negotiation is not about a tug of war. It's not about a fight. It's really not about who's going to win, you know, who's going to get beat up and who's going to be the winner and who's going to be the losers. It's really not about that. And I want to teach all of us from this kingdom biblical mindset that the world oftentimes, catch this, the world oftentimes will teach us how to negotiate from that standpoint of a fight, of a tug of war, of there's a winner and there's a loser. But from a kingdom standpoint, as a kingdom entrepreneur and a business owner that embraces these kingdom processes and these kingdom principles, understand that it's really not a tug of war. It's not a fight. What negotiation should really be about as a Christian entrepreneur is about a mutual beneficial agreement. Again, I'm going to repeat that. As a kingdom entrepreneur, as a kingdom business owner, negotiations should not be about a fight. It should not be about who's going to win, who's not going to win. It's really about a mutually beneficial agreement. Somebody please type that in the comment section. A mutual beneficial agreement. It's about how can we, me and you, brother and sister, brother and brother, sister and sister, organization to organization, business to business, how can we together come together with a mutual beneficial agreement? So it's not about I'm going to win. It's not about you're going to lose. It's not about, you know, someone walking away bleeding or in bad shape because they've been in this negotiation. Our mentality should never be that way as Christians. It should always be about how can we come together in a mutually beneficial agreement that's going to benefit both parties. The only way that that works is that we first have to have in our mind, we have to understand value. Again, type that in the comment section. Value. We have to understand value. And value is really about what I bring to the table. So as it relates to negotiations as an entrepreneur, let me stop here and say this, entrepreneurs. Every entrepreneur that's watching this, you must understand, if you want to be great, if you want to be mainstream, if you want to be or a household name, you want your business to be a household name, you have to understand that at some point you're going to have to enter into some negotiation. And all negotiations are not bad. They're not evil. They're not designed. It's not a battle. It's not a war. But it can be a war if your mindset is not set on what the reality, or the truth rather, of what a negotiation is really all about. And we see this so much happening, where what ends up happening is that oftentimes what we'll do is that we'll embrace the worldly system because we don't have an understanding of what this biblical principle, kingdom principle of entrepreneurship is really all about. And it's so easy to gravitate and to grab on to those things of the world. And the world is going to tell you this: in a negotiation, you better win. You better be the one. You can leave with some scars, you can leave with some bruises, but you better win. And what oftentimes happens is that when we embrace that mentality, what oftentimes is we go for the juggler. We go for the juggler. Like, and we're Christians, we're believers in Christ, and we go for the juggler because the world teaches us you got to win at all costs. It doesn't matter if the other person's on the ground, you got to win. And I'm here to tell you that that's not how we're supposed to be running our kingdom businesses. What we have to understand is that it's really about a mutual beneficial agreement, which means that not only is it going to benefit you in this negotiation, but it's going to also benefit me. So what does that look like? Let's rewind back and let's go back to value. What you have to understand first is the value that you bring. You must understand, what value do I, as a person, as a product or a service or an organization, what do I bring? And if you don't know the answer to this question, quite frankly, I think it's important for you to really dig into this and to really understand what value you bring. And your value is not necessarily the product, because oftentimes when we look at our value overall, we think, okay, my value is really about my product or service. You know, if I'm selling socks, it's really about my socks. If it's about my t-shirt, it's about my t-shirt. And I bring t-shirts to the thing. I bring socks to the thing. I bring whatever it is. It's really not about your product or service. What it's really about is the value that the customer, the value that the person, the value that the organization will receive by you being at the table. Now, if you approach the negotiation from that standpoint, and you use key terms and key terminology, like, you know, hey, it being mutually beneficial, then what ends up happening is that what it does is it redirects the verbiage, it redirects the conversation, and it also redirects the tone of the organ or of the negotiation. Because the last thing that you want to do is enter into a negotiation with a very strong, dominant, you know, I'm going to win. It's about me, you know, blood, sweat, or tears. I'm going to make this happen. You know, that's not the approach. The approach should always be, okay, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, Mr. Organization, Mrs. Organization. Here's what my value, here's the value that I believe as we enter into this partnership, how this is going to be mutually beneficial for both parties. It will benefit you as a person, as an organization. Why? ABC. And I believe it'll also mutually benefit me as a person and as an organization because of ABC. And when you lay the negotiation out that way, what it does is it takes away that worldly power of fighting, because a person can't fight themselves. Like, you can't. There's no way that you can sit up here and fight yourself. Like, you know, so what I would do is I'll excuse myself out of the ring, and I don't want to fight you. I'll let you, if you want to fight and get into that bloody war, that will be on them. But as a kingdom business owner and as a kingdom entrepreneur, you got to understand, okay, it's really about value. And if I don't know the value that my business brings to this person or brings to this organization, then there's no way that I'll be able to articulate that. And if I can't articulate that, then the only fallback that I have is to go back to the worldly system and start fighting and start really hammering, a deal, in negotiating a deal. In the negotiation, it should never be about, all about you. And oftentimes what we do is we'll approach a negotiation very self-seeking. Now, I'm not asking for you to testify. I've been guilty of it myself, where it's about you've worked hard, you've built this business, you stayed up all night, you've been dreaming about it, you've had failures, you've had disappointments, you had all of these things, and now you're into a negotiation about a partnership, about a deal, about a big contract or a customer or a client, and now you're bringing all of that frustration to the negotiation table. And oftentimes what happens is you make the whole negotiation all about you. So when it comes to your offer and your proposal, the proposals are often self-centered. They're about how this is going to benefit me. And you got to understand the person at the other table, when they're reviewing the offer, they want to know, okay, I understand how this is going to benefit your business and your pockets, but how is this going to benefit me? And oftentimes you got to be careful, because we'll sell product that way. We will sell our products and service that way. Like, hey, here's my phone. I know that you can get it used, online for $800, but because I want to make all the money, and because I want to buy this brand new car and I want this brand new house and I need to sell, then what I'll do is I'll sell it to you at 5,000. There's no value to you at all. All the value is to me. The value is, there's no benefit to you at all. The benefit is all to me. It's about me gaining more money or me gaining access to your funds so that I can do whatever I want to do with it. Instead of saying, hey, no, this is really about, this is how this is going to add value to you. This phone is going to add value to you because everybody that is saved and that's a believer of Christ has an iPhone. That's just what I believe. If you don't have an iPhone, you're not living right. That's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother topic. But that's what I believe. It's about value. That's the value that it adds to you. You'll be able to work very intelligent. You'll be able to work easy with the apps. You'll be able to airdrop and send things to other devices that are nearby, documents. You'll be able to do all of these things. These are values that will be added to the person in exchange of their money. In exchange, this is like a negotiation versus just saying, okay, here's the product. This is how much it costs. Buy it. No. And we enter into negotiations that way oftentimes with people, where it's really about, hey, this is how much it's going to cost. It's all about money. It's all about dollar amounts. And I want to challenge you to switch your mindset from just thinking about dollar amounts to really about the value added. Look, negotiations are going to happen, guys. They're going to happen. If you want to be mainstream, if you want to be a big company and a household name for your business to have a household name, you're going to have some type of negotiations. And in negotiations, they can get uncomfortable, but how you should negotiate should never be about price. How you negotiate should never be about price. And let me rephrase that to make that very clear, because I know someone's probably saying, what do you mean it should never be about price? I mean, you want me to take the price out? Let me say it like this. Negotiations should never be primarily about the price. That's better. That sounds better. It should never be primarily about the price. It should be primarily about the benefit that it adds. The benefit that it adds to the person, the benefit that it adds to that individual or organization. And so as you're selling, as you're building your business, understand this, that there's going to be somebody that's going to ask, there's going to be someone that's going to feel a certain way about your product or service, that may want to negotiate price, may want to negotiate a partnership, may want to negotiate a big deal, whatever it may be. You got to be willing to say, okay, what value does this add? And the way that I should negotiate should always be about value first. What value does this add to your organization? What value does this add to you as an individual? So even as I'm selling to individuals one-on-one, it's really about, even in those negotiations where a person says, well, your prices are too high. Oh, I want to deal with that so much right now. That's a whole nother session there. But what do you do when a person tells you, hey, man, that's too much? You're asking too much for that. That price is too high. What do you do in a scenario like that? You know, and oftentimes, if you have not taught or you have not dealt with them on the value that that product or service adds, what oftentimes happening, you're in the middle of a negotiation. When it ends up happening is that you're going for the juggler, because the world teaches you somebody has to win. Who's going to win? Are you going to win? And then you get into a fight, and then it becomes very like feelings, emotions get involved, and then you start taking things personally, and all of these things, when really all you have to do is take a step back and say, okay, have I presented value to them? Have I showed them what value that this is going to add to their life instantly or long term or short term? Have I showed them what value this is going to add? And if I have not, I can't blame anybody. Now what I can do is rewind back. So overall, what I want to talk about and help you on tonight, entrepreneurs, is this: as it relates to negotiations should always be a mutual beneficial agreement between both parties. And it is up to you to lead that conversation and to lead that negotiation by letting the person know up front, hey, this is the agreement. This is what I'm proposing, and this is how it's going to mutually benefit both parties. And then, yes, there's going to be numbers involved. Yes, there's going to be prices involved in all of those agreements. But ultimately, what you have to do is you have to lead with value. If you're not leading with value, you're leading with price. And here's the thing about price. Price can always be beat. I'll say that again. If you're not leading with value and you're leading with price, price can always be beat. The reality is there's always someone that will sell what you're selling for cheaper. It's a fact. We see it all the time. Walmart, Target. You get the same stuff at Walmart that you can get at Target. One is cheaper, one is more expensive. So it's really not about price. What Target has done is they presented value. They've presented the overall value, and I'll let y'all speak on the value more than I will. But you see the value. You see the value of shopping at Target versus Walmart. They've created value that is associated with the price. So it's really not about price, because price can be beaten out. Anybody can beat your price and sell the same thing. But when you lead first with value in the negotiation, no one can challenge that. The only way that they can challenge that is they just don't see the value. And then it's up to you as an entrepreneur to resell them on that value. I hope all of this has made some type of sense. This is really like a part 1 to really about like a part 10 of what negotiations should look like. But I want you to understand this, is to understand that don't have any fear as it relates to negotiation. Negotiation can be scary when you're viewing it from a worldly point of view, that it's a fight, it's a tug of war that someone has to lose. But if you understand it from a kingdom mindset and a kingdom approach, there's really understand that, hey, this negotiation is not about a fight. It's not about a winner or a loser, but it's really about a mutual beneficial agreement between both parties. And if I present my proposal, and enter the negotiation with that mindset that I'm going to close down a mutual beneficial agreement, then the conversation, the tone is different. But if I approach it by saying, there's got to be a winner, there's got to be a loser, then my approach is really self-centered, and it's really about me, because nobody wants to lose. So again, approach it from the mindset about value. The value that is going to be added to the organization, the value that's going to be added to you as a business owner, as a person, and articulate that in a way that people on the other side of the table can understand. Don't look at negotiation as a fearful thing. It happens. It's a part of growing. It's a part of building your business. It's a part of building your brand. If you need some more help on that, inbox us directly. And we'll be more than happy to have one-on-one sessions with you and teach more about that. I'm going to be doing some more teaching on negotiation, because it's an uncomfortable thing, and I want you as an entrepreneur to get more comfortable with it, because you got to negotiate. You have to negotiate with your suppliers. If you're selling any type of product where you're buying stuff, you got to negotiate. So what does that negotiation look like? So that's my assignment. I hope that this information helped you. Again, this is only part one of so many. If you enjoyed anything or got anything out of this, give me some hearts, give me some likes, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Say, look, I got it. Thank you for helping me. Yes, if it's uncomfortable for you, admit it. Hey, yeah, negotiations are uncomfortable. But remember, again, approach this not from the standpoint of a battle or fighting or getting in a war, but really about presenting the value that's going to be added to that organization or to that person. I hope this helped you. I hope it blesses you. Stay tuned, stay connected for more part 5, 6, or whatever's going to come out of this. My goal is to help you as an entrepreneur to get over the fear of negotiation. If you want to grow, if you want to build, if you want to be a mainstream top brand, you have to master the art of negotiation. Negotiation is not scary. It's not anything that you should be afraid of, but something that you must embrace and understand. It's really about value than it is a tug of war. The world tells you tug of war, but as believers, we understand it's about a mutual beneficial agreement. So I love y'all, praying for y'all. There will be more to come. Like I said, if you got any questions or anything, please feel free to inbox us directly here at Selling the King's Table. And please, if you've got anything out of this, share this with another entrepreneur, a friend, or family member. I love y'all. God bless you.